Well, this week's episode of Eagle Review might just be for the hardcore fans only, as West Coast travel to Adelaide Oval to take on an informed, slick and really skillful Crows outfit. They dismantle us by 57 points as they surge towards the top 8. Ben Roberts, welcome to the program. Oh, it was one of those quarters again, very reminiscent of the Fremantle game where they just burst out of the blocks and you couldn't help but feel helpless. What were the major areas for improvement that we'll need to touch up on in order to face the Saints this week?
Look, there are a lot of back half turnovers early on, especially early on, and Adelaide capitalised on those and kicked a lot of goals. And once the momentum, that big giant ball like an Indiana Jones, once that thing starts rolling, it's hard to stop. And look, they fought back well in the second quarter, but in the end, probably the first quarter was the difference.
Probably nothing to get too worried about. West Coast being notoriously great starters in 2015. I think more than 50% of the time we've kicked 4 goals or greater in that opening term. But it has been those 2 times where they've been not just 4 or 5 goal to 0 blowouts, but 7, 8, 9 goal blowouts to nothing.
Well, if you think 2 weeks ago, I think against Freo, everyone was saying, well, they're the best starting team in the history of Earth. But against Freo in round 3, 9-2 to 0 goals 4. Against the Crows, it was 8-3 to 0 goals 1. So, yeah, look, it's happened twice. It's not a trend, and that's a good thing. The trend is overwhelmingly the other way. So hopefully it's just an abomination. You know, these things happen. And next week against the Saints, they'll start well.
Certainly it's tough to at the office for a youngster like Tommy Barrass after just playing in his 3rd AFL game, having to guard the likes of Tex Walker, Josh Jenkins, Tommy Lynch, these power forwards with a wealth of experience. You know, took some great grabs around the ground. It showed just exactly what he will be capable of, but just those nuances and subtleties of key defence we're going to have to work on over the next few seasons.
Yeah, good on him. You can go into your shell if you're getting, a few goals kicked on you. So good to see him keep flying for his marks. But I mean, Jenkins, when the ball's that clean coming in and coming in that often, it is hard to stop no matter who you are. I mean, but Jenkins is 4 centimetres taller and 19 kilos heavier, if you don't mind, and is also a seasoned player. So a lot to learn for Tommy Barrass in the future.
Adelaide did move the ball very well in that first quarter, really did, just going through the corridor at will. The likes of Scotty Thompson, Paddy Dangerfield, Brodie Smith having absolute field days with the ball. And we'll remember Will Schofield, remember we had to kick 9 or 10 on him with old Jack Rewalt. Anyone can come back in your early days of key defence, so Tommy Barrass just needs to keep sticking at it and we'll be one of the premier defenders in the comp.
We'll back him in.
As Will Schofield is today. Gov's injury, this will be an interesting one, a close one to follow. You don't reckon there'll be 5 million articles on the back of the West every day for this one. Whether it's an AC joint stinger, like is probably going to be the case, or what's being suggested. How important is this bloke heading into the final game? And you know, do you think about resting him for the Saints at all if it needs to happen?
I don't think he can afford to be rested. He's missed 4 of the last 5 weeks. So you need to get some minutes into his legs ahead of finals. So I don't think they'll be resting him whatsoever. He'll only miss if he can't play through injury, but I don't think he will. I think he'll line up. I think he'll recover. I think he'll be right and he'll play against the Saints.
Disappointing result for the West Coast Eagles, obviously. Mark Lecra's 150th on the weekend. Probably wouldn't want to be the way that he was celebrated, but still, tip the hat to this bloke. Sensational career to date, and probably, you know, the best small forward opposing Phil Matera, you'd have to say, in West Coast history.
Yep, very classy. The thing is, Lecca 150, he wouldn't have minded worrying about his 150 milestone. It's more about the team. He's such a team player, and I guess that's what's most disappointing, is that all he would have wanted was a win, and he didn't get one, which would disappoint him more. But yeah, certainly one of the classiest players we've had. Added some versatility this year as well, and got a lot of the footy in the middle, and but still kicked the goals. So well done, Lecca.
Big game against the Saints. Host of players returning, as we know. Schofield, Butler, will he be back? Marston, of course, and Wellingham for finals. You look forward to that Eagles side strengthening from there. Let's get straight into the roast. We've got a fair few nominations. We're going to go with Gov. Great to see him back, and he did some great things around his injury. But trying to take on Tex Walker in the back 5 metre zone, gee, this is ambitious. Thinks he's old C. Judd from 05 here, doesn't he?
The old do-si-do, but didn't quite pull it off. And pretty lucky, I think, to get a free kick there.
Oh, yeah, very lucky indeed.
How about this one, though? What about Eddie Betts just throwing the old back heel into the plums on Sheptons? I mean, that's not on there in enough pain as it is. Eddie, you're in charge in that pocket. That's fair enough, but none of that, mate.
Yeah, not what you want heading into half-time. When you look forward to getting into some lollies and Gatorade, don't think he would have had too much into the big spell there. It's going to be remiss of us not to mention Steve Johnson. We're a week too late on this one.
It was an oversight.
I know. Brenton Sharp sent this in, and he was too little too late, but this would probably win Roast of the Year. This is one of the all-time greatest mares you'll ever see. strolling in, just turned the wrong way, even had the Cavalier bounce running out of the goal square. And Savage said, thank you very much, I'll take you out. And you can miss the goal for me. Thanks, Sharpie.
Right in front of the St Kilda cheer squad as well.
Righto, Benny, what else you got?
Okay, well, James Frawley, marquee signing, big signing in the off-season, free agency style. Doesn't kick that many goals, well, hasn't, he's been playing predominantly back. Look at this, careers forward and kicks, a great one from 50, but he's out of practice with the high fives, because have a look at this, he goes whack and gives Bradley Hill one in the bonce. They give it a replay as well, just for extra measure. So work on those.
These defenders won't learn. They will not have many people to celebrate with if they're going to be your actions going forward. Speaking of marquee signings, old Kurt Tippett, when you get at 15 out,
Segway.
you think he's going to be an absolute Monty to put this one through. No, I'm just going to play on because I think there's no such thing as a time clock, and we're in a bit of a rush here, even though we're several goals up. And I'm going to kick it as quick as I can and just absolutely shank the pants off of it. So no good there, Kurt. But the winner, Benny Roberts.
Stays in Sydney.
Yep.
But Jesus, I'll tell you what.
It's an all-timer, isn't it?
This, speaking of could be race of the year, this will go very close. Probably stiff, because autocorrect has a mind of its own
and
sometimes.
And gee, they're close to each other as well.
But wowee, have a look at this. The Swans Twitter feed on Sunday afternoon. Very, very, very harsh on Adam Goods.
Yeah, I don't know how Goods he'll take that. Obviously not one of his better games if that's following through. We'll see you next week for the Saints game. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.